Welcome back. We'll be heading over to Uganda now, where the International Criminal Court has launched a historic proceedings against Ugandan rebel leader Joseph Kony, presenting evidence in an in absentia hearing. Kony, head of the Lord's Resistance Army, is accused of 39 counts of war crimes and crimes against humanity, including the abduction of children, mutilation of civilians, and enslavement of women. Though Kony remains at large, the hearing marks a significant moment for victims in Uganda and beyond, offering a path forward toward accountability, even decades after those horrific, harrowing atrocities that we saw. Survivors and legal observers hope that this could set a precedent for prosecuting perpetrators who evade justice. And joining us now to provide insight and maybe an on-the-ground kind of sentiment from Uganda is Musinguzi Goodluck, a very, very good friend of the show. He's also a journalist and editor at Kigezi News. Be sure to give him a follow. And I'm sure he's been following closely the LRA's impact and the reactions of communities still grappling with the legacy of Kony's violence. Musinguzi, thank you so much for joining us. Always a pleasure having you on Salam Media, and looking forward to having this, I think, very, very important discussion. I don't think we've ever spoken about this before, so it's going to be another interesting one, and I think an eye-opening one for South Africans and people that are watching all across the world.
Good morning. Thank you. Greetings from Kampala. We just finished 2 days of nominations for the presidential candidates.
Yes.
So here we are. It's been a journey. Kony was part of a history that really shapes Uganda to what it is today, and definitely left marks that we will always remember. That part of northern Uganda is really still coming back. They look back and they see that they lost so much for so many things that, as some of us, we can't tell why. One, he got the support, but also why he survived all those years. And now here we are being tried in absentia. Thank you.
I think for some of our listeners who might not be familiar with Joseph Kony and the LRA, if you can just give a bit of historical background. Who was he? And the organization he was involved with, and what ultimately led to those brutal atrocities that is now being trialed for at the ICC.
Joseph Kony was an altar boy in the church, in the Catholic Church. When Uganda had come out of war, when you look at our history from 1962, we had presidents. We came to 1979. We had other presidents. I think in between there, people from the northern region had led Uganda for most of the part. And therefore, when President Yoweri Museveni and his outfit came and took over power, I think there was something to say we shouldn't lose something. And therefore, this former altar boy took it upon himself, mobilized people, said he had received extraordinary powers that showed him that he should be able to lead this country, Uganda. And therefore, once he started and people believed him, he really got the support. Because remember, there are people who knew that they had lost power, and that maybe in this way, it could be that they also launch an armed struggle and also recapture power again. And definitely, to those who have read history about the Majimaji rebellions in Tanzania, where somebody said you'd sprinkle yourself with water and guns, gunshots wouldn't, that part of our African culture that sort of was giving us supernatural powers. And
I'm not
therefore,
sure if it's culture more than it is superstition, but continue.
yeah, but to those who believed him, he got a big following. They started an armed struggle. They were killing people from their region who were not, joining the war. And eventually they started killing the army. And then, but the war started and spread. So it started from a region near River Nile. It's called Acholi region. And then it spread to Lango region. It went up to Teso. And because he had also had an aunt called Lakwena, who had also tried to wage an armed struggle and almost actually reached almost like 150 kilometers from Kampala. So there was that hope that they will make it and come and dislodge the new government that had come into power. But along the way, as you know, some of these armed struggles, South Africa went through one of them, and Uganda was part of I studied with some of, I was in the lower section, but most of the guys, I think, who are leaders today in the military must have been in our secondary schools. We could see them. So armed struggles, when the going gets tough, I think now he started cutting lips of collaborators, started doing things that are unimaginable to human beings in the name of getting support. And therefore you had to support. If you don't support, you would be killed. People started moving away. We started, for the first time, we had what we call internally displaced camps. People's lives were, in the night, children would go to Gulu town, now which is a city. It has been elevated to a city. Children would be sleeping there so that they survive and maybe the next day, And therefore, Kony, now when the army came in, he shifted his bases to Southern Sudan, then to Central African Republic. But meanwhile, as he was being pushed, the government here, what it made was have the family members come back, reconcile. We had the current Minister of Justice, Norbert Mao, and the former Prime Minister, Dr. Ruakana Ruguna, and others went to meet Joseph Kony. They tried to talk peace. He promised them a few things, maybe which he never. So up to today, we can't tell whether he is alive, whether he is long gone. But what we know recently, actually this year, part of his last family returned and the government has settled them in, is taking care of them. And therefore, it was that history where you can say people who believe in things that I can't explain me as a person because I really don't go into that line, but it's part of our history. So that is the Joseph Kony who managed to convince so many, but also killed so many from his area, and eventually left. And on his trail, as he went to Southern Sudan, Central African Republic, killed so many people. A man that has been known for killing people than what he was fighting for.
And I think he's turned into a somewhat mystical, figure of some sort. And I think that's very, very interesting. What has been the immediate reaction in Uganda to the ICC's in absentia proceedings against Joseph? Communities also, that have been affected by this, deadly time, feeling a sense of justice, or is there frustration because of the fact that he remains at large? As you mentioned, we don't know whether he's still alive. We don't know which part of the continent or even part of the world he is. Does that become a point of stress for those that would want to seek justice against some of the atrocities that he committed against them?
It's a mixed reaction because as we speak today, there are some Ugandans or people from the region who think that without getting Kony, arresting him, to arraign him in court, for them, they are talking of compensation. There is a group that is saying if the international community, if government can compensate us, and so that we find back our lives. Then there's also another group which is saying, finally in their lifetime, that even if Kony is tried in absentia, it will be some sort of justice given to them. Because it is hard for them to explain for you the troubles, the suffering they went through. And therefore, while others are saying it's a mockery, others are saying, finally, that even if he never goes to the dock and maybe he's, because they can't tell whether he has died because they no longer hear about him, he's far away from them. And therefore they are saying, let it be put on book, let it be recorded that Joseph Kony was tried in his lifetime, because nobody knows whether he's dead. They presume he's still alive, and let him be a fugitive so that the day they get him, he will straight go to the prison. That is what we hear. But to the southern part, mostly especially, it's kind of people have moved on. Yeah.
Which is expected because it's been a significant number of years. From your perspective, this case is being seen as a test for the ICC, especially for suspects who are, let's say, unlikely to be captured. How do you view the effectiveness and credibility of international justice in absentia, and do you see it being used as a model in other instances where perpetrators of atrocities against human rights don't have the likelihood of being captured, but we continue with trialing them without them being present?
In the 1990s and early 2000s, when of course, we had come out of the South African armed struggle. It looked to be like one of the last, but then you still had Angola, then you had Kony in Uganda, and these are the places where there was fighting here and there. And therefore, at the time, you could feel people were like, maybe individual countries will never put these people will never capture these people, will never put them to justice. People are dead, somebody's walking, or maybe eventually captures power. And therefore, there was that call of having an international body, a court that would give a sense of hope. That even if you started something, at one point in life, you'd be held accountable. And if you remember those pictures when Charles Taylor was being arrested, and the others who followed, there was that sense of hope that maybe that those who start wars, we always remember that there is the International Court of Justice. That even governments, when they, mistreat people, kill people, that they will remember that there will be somebody to pick you. But along the way now, with so much happening, with COVID coming and disarming us the other way around, also showing that the world can come to a standstill. I think you don't hear people now talk about the International Criminal Court. It's something that is kind of dying down. Because also, apart from the Sudan, Eastern DRC, and maybe some sporadic problems in West Africa, I think by and large, Africa, we have sort of left the times of warlordism. South Africa has put away apartheid. And for us, especially in Uganda, it is so historical. I'll never forget that day. And therefore, Africa has come to a level where, apart from what we see and like what Salam Media is doing, what is happening in Gaza, it is where, again, maybe it shows you that something, you never know, something could come back. But apparently, the court really, it's no longer, I don't know whether it's the human nature that we tend to forget, but the importance of it to those, the young people might not know what it means. But the fighting that was coming up here and there. But the people in Sudan, what they are seeing, maybe they could be candidates of the ICC, but apparently we have Africa, which is peaceful, and therefore the court keeps diminishing away from us.
Yeah, no, most definitely. I think its relevance, it's really losing its grip, especially with how they've dealt with, some issues. For instance, you mentioned Gaza. They have not been forthcoming, when it comes to making sure that people like Benjamin Netanyahu stand trial for their actions in that part of the world. And it's always that debate on whether or not these courts were established specifically to target African leaders, and when it comes to everyone else, they don't act. I want us to take a quick break. When we come back, I want us to wrap up the conversation by just segueing a bit. You mentioned that it's election season in Uganda. So maybe you can just give us the latest on that front after the short break. I think it's going to be an interesting way to end today's conversation, you and I. There you go. Going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll see you after this.
Day by day, this is Salam Media.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042-203-1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
Attention free-to-air listeners on Salam Media. This is an important announcement for you. As of Tuesday, 23rd September 2025, Centec, our satellite service provider, will be upgrading their satellite uplink systems. If you're listening via any of the following decoders, such as Star Trek, Modak, Strong, Satellite Islam, or any other kind of free-to-air decoders, you must retune your device before the 23rd September in order to continue listening to your favorite radio platforms. Should you not tune your decoders before this time, the 23rd September, you will unfortunately lose full access to Salam Media and other broadcasters. Please contact your nearest installer today to avoid an inconvenience and to stay connected. Salam Media, your voice, your platform.
Searching for elite local and international investment and advisory services from an award-winning firm? Look no further than the Belmont Mayer Group, your gateway to unparalleled investment and wealth management. At Belmont Mayer, we believe in the art of wealth creation, a meticulous process fueled by our unwavering commitment to excellence. With a focus on providing elite alternative investments and quality advice, we also pride ourselves on maximizing value for our esteemed investors, as seen through our consistent outperformance. Your financial success is our top priority. Join us at Belmont Mayer and experience the difference firsthand. Ready to embark on a journey of greatness? Contact us today. Reach out to the Belmont Mayer Group on 078 786 1698. Call or WhatsApp or email us at info@belmontmayer.com. Elevate your financial future with Belmont Mayer, where every detail matters.
2 years of unimaginable violence in Gaza and the West Bank. Over 70,000 civilian lives lost, countless lives shattered, housing, hospitals, and schools destroyed. It's time to take a stand. Join the PSA for the Walk for Freedom on Sunday, October 5 at Rose Park, Lenasia. Unite against racism. Unite against apartheid Israel. Let your voices be heard. For tickets and to volunteer, simply call 083-258-2786. Together, we can make a difference. Stop the genocide.
Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media. Humanity sets the agenda.
Welcome back. You're still tuned in to News and Views with myself, Salalo Makuderi. We are still in Uganda, having a really, really interesting conversation with our good friend, Goodluck. And we were talking about the ICC and this case that is ongoing, which is in absentia. It's an absentia hearing of Joseph Kony. And I wanted us to segue just a bit and focus on election season, which is currently taking place. I think January 2026 is when Uganda will be going to the polls. But as you can imagine, with politics, things are starting to gain steam. Momentum is up and running now. Goodluck. Thank you so much for staying with us. I said before we went to that ad break that I'd like us to just segue the conversation a bit to discuss the election landscape out in Uganda at this current moment. President Museveni is seeking a re-election, and you have Bobi Wine on the other hand, who's mounting, strong pressure and challenge. Just give us insight on the political climate in Uganda at this current moment and how it is shaping across the country as election campaigns now intensify as we edge closer and closer to 2026.
Thank you very much. We are happy to have ended the 2 days of presidential nominations yesterday, on Tuesday and Wednesday. We have now 8 candidates who have been nominated, but like you have said, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, who will be making almost 40 years in power since 1986, will be a big contender, and then Bobi Wine, Robert Chagulanyi Sentamu, who is coming for the second time under the banner of National Unity Platform, was also nominated, and those 2 people held 2 rallies, massive rallies on either part of Kampala, which show that they are the men to watch for the coming elections. And therefore, the political tension, yes, in 2021, there's what we called the wave of Bobi Wine, which swept through the central region of Uganda, where the capital city of Uganda is called the Uganda region. Most of the members of parliament who were leaning to NRM, National Resistance Movement of President Yoweri Museveni, lost. Actually, Bobi Wine garnered almost 57 or 58 members of parliament, which was the first time a political opponent, a political party had garnered all that number. And therefore, it put them on the stage now. They had not won the presidency, and they had not also, because that was like 10% of the national parliament. But so there was that level that set them for the next 5 years, and the whole country was looking what they were going to do. And when this time around came, but of course, I can remind our viewers that there were those promises that President Yoweri Museveni will not even make it a year in government, he will not rule, he will not lead, and eventually we have come, that storm ended, and here we are. And therefore, the National Unity Platform faces a challenge. For example, recently they took a method of selecting leaders. While the NRM, National Resistance Movement, was letting people go, it held its own elections. Actually, they held in over 70,000 polling stations, and the government of Uganda holds elections in 70,000 polling stations. There were fights, there were other issues that came up leading to the selection of their leaders. But some other people say the people participated. So here, National Unity Platform has taken a direction of selecting. They recently released a list of local government name of leaders who will be carrying their flag, and we have now started seeing people shifting, crossing over. The potential challenge that they have is to release the list of members of parliament. There is so much that is happening behind closed door, whether people will get what they call a card, or the party embracing you to stand. And him not releasing the list before nomination was very good for him, because he would have come to the people as a fractured party, but he went through the storm of the release of the local government list. The impact has not been so much, and therefore we are waiting as a country to see the results, whether he is bringing back the same members of parliament he had, whether the new contenders is going to give them chance. To those who will have gotten the party card, and to those who will have lost, how are we going to see crossovers? So for me, I think Bobi Wine has come of age. It will no longer be a wave. In terms of facilitation for his party, after 5 years, they will have gotten over 28 billion Uganda shillings. That because each member of parliament, the Electoral Commission of Uganda gives you 64 billion Uganda shillings. And therefore, it has been a good boost. They were able to build a party headquarters in the capital city. We have seen them build another office in another region called Busoga, particularly in Igaga district. So therefore, people now are going to judge them. You had members of parliament in the central region. What did they do? But the message that he put out across yesterday was again on human rights. And he still continues to say that our people were arrested, some were killed, some are in prison. And I don't know whether that one, after 5 years, not telling what you will really do, what the members of parliament will tell what they did, because they have all faced a significant opposition from within the party. There are people who have come out to say, no, you never worked. I want to go and represent the party and be more vocal and work. And therefore that storm, I think for me, it sort of calms the challenge that we saw in 2021 and the challenge that he's bringing, that whether he will be now be able to galvanize the country again to pick up that wave. For me, it feels that as a young man who grows and you become strong in your family, that now he needs to come and give hope to Ugandans and say, if I was to be given chance to lead a budget of 55 billion US dollars that Uganda is having as of today, but which is going to increase because of the oil investments that are coming on, actually it might increase to almost 80 or 100 billion US dollars. We need to know what he is going to do, because the other issues have been tested. Again, time has gone, but the challenge he faces is within. and let him know that if he doesn't win this election, what does it mean? Will Ugandans maybe looking at another face to come and challenge the status quo that has been here for 40 years? How about President Yoweri Museveni making inroads in Kampala and in Uganda, where, because he used to hold rallies, he used to have major meetings in one place, but this time around you can see he has gone to even places we call ghettos as the president of Uganda. And therefore the stakes are very high. And even yesterday, Bobby Wine said, you see, I gave hope to choose. That's where I grew up, and that's where I had gotten my base. And now the president, the current leader of National Resistance Party, President Yoweri Museveni, is coming to you to the ghetto to sort of show that now he likes you. But
all of a sudden.
Yes, all of a sudden, yeah. But you need to know that I'm the one who made him know that the ghetto is there. And therefore, whether the ghetto will be, I don't belong to one. I don't know whether I would
The
vote
dynamics.
So I don't know whether those people, what percentage they form, whether they could be able to push him. But also the challenge that Bob Wine has to work on is moving away from Kampala, from the central region. Because as you go further away, I have an opportunity from January up to now. I've gone around Uganda covering a World Bank project for like 5 times. And I can tell you without hesitation that really he needs to work on himself, going beyond that, because that time people used to hear his music. He was very popular, but in the last 5 years, the music has sort of gone down. It's no longer. Will it be again speak for him out there? I really, we have less than 4 months to go around the country, but whether he will strengthen his base in the central region, or whether he would also try to move out, yet he doesn't have representation. For example, he went through a scare of not raising enough signatures from 2/3 of Uganda. So where he has a base, he is comfortable. But not raising enough signatures in the other parts, and him not fielding members of parliament in almost 2/3 of the country, for me, it's a weak foundation.
No, most definitely. And Ugandans are listening to Amapiano now, so I'm not sure about the music for Bobby Wine. But otherwise, Musinguzi, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure chatting to you. And I'm sure as elections steam continues to roll on, you and I are going to be talking a whole lot more times. It's going to be interesting to see also if, you guys are going to be re-electing President Museveni to come back. He's been president since 1985, 1986, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it's going to be interesting if he makes a comeback. 1986, correct?
Yeah, I think for me, most likely people are prepared for his presidency, but what is in their back of the mind is the transition. And I think if the media carefully, this election, everybody thinks like it's a bit over, and even me, I wouldn't really put so much. But our focus is on the transition, and as the Bobby Wines and others test him, will they be part of the transition? What is the public saying? After 40 years, definitely so much has been done. The security is surrounded with the volatile region, but as he ages out, definitely will this be his last term in office? But as I told you before, what we know, if you can see, his son is in China, meeting the top leadership of in the military and the leaders of China. What does that mean? And that's why I told you, to those who think his son is going to come after him, we are leaving him. He's been leading quietly from the background. So that transition, will the other people who support because last year, as I'm ending, the current Minister of Justice, who heads a political party called Democratic Party, and others have sat minus National Unity Platform of Bobby Wine, because for him, he said he will never want to sit with the president. He describes him with words I can't say comfortably for my security. And therefore, they have cut him off. And that means in the next 5 years, unless something happens, he might not get the money for the political party, the other billions he was enjoying, depending on the members of parliament he will get. But in that group, they are telling us that they are now discussing the transition. So for me, the world media, and to everyone else, let's see what it means. Is it going to be a smooth transition? Is it going to encompass everybody? Are we going to have maybe a consultative meeting where all the political parties, religious, tribe, and all these people come together and sit to see post-Museveni?
And I think the whole of Africa is wondering what life is going to look like for Ugandans post-Museveni. But we know, as you said, the next elections look done and dusted, and we'll definitely be keeping in touch with you to get the latest. Thank you so much, and goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you very much.
So, Musinguzi Goodluck, Ronald, out in Uganda, giving us the latest on the current affairs of our good friends, very, very close friends of ours here in South Africa, Uganda. They have one of their big, beautiful stadiums. It's called Nelson Mandela Stadium. The national team just beat Bafana in the chat. I was very, very upset. Kigezi Goodluck is laughing in the background, but very, very good friends of ours. And I think we need to keep a close eye on the politics in that front, because they're one of the most stable countries on the African continent, especially in the region where they are. And we definitely need to know and understand what's happening in Uganda. With that, we've come to the end of the show. Thank you so much for staying with us for the past 2 hours and 13 minutes. We stole someone's time, but yeah, I'm going to leave it here for now. That's the Thursday edition of the show. I'll be back with you again on Tuesday. Otherwise, Inaid Wadi will be with you tomorrow for the Chuma edition of the show. From myself, Salalo Makwidiri, and the rest of the team, it's Shap Shap.